Hey guys, what's up? Alright, we've got a late 2009 iMac 21.5 inch. Wow, what an interesting computer, I must say. So this has a Core 2 Duo 3.06 gigahertz. There's a model that they have that's a little tiny bit quicker, but not by much. Anyways, so we have two independent cores on this thing on one silicon chip. 3 megs of shared level 2 cache, 1066 or 1067 megahertz DDR3 RAM. Now, this thing came with 4 gigabytes of RAM. I picked this up actually from my pastor and his wife. They gave it to me, and I was like, that's so cool. That's awesome of them. The video in this is a NVIDIA GeForce 9400M, which is actually shared with your system RAM at 256 megabytes. Okay, and that's it. So that's all it's going to steal from you. Another version of this same computer would come with an ATI Radeon HD 4670 graphics card with its own dedicated GDDR3 memory. So, hey, you got two options out there. Either way, it doesn't seem to be slowing it down for gaming, just having built-in video with the shared RAM. So, hey, not bad. iSight video camera. This is where it gets really interesting with this thing. I've had these machines before with iSight cameras, and yeah, generally they're like, 640, and that's all you're going to get, by 480p, and that's going through QuickTime maximum settings. This one, however, is an interesting conundrum. It says that it'll actually export my video at maximum settings that I record on QuickTime at up to 1080p. And that we're going to show you so that you actually believe it, because I still have a hard time swallowing this one because I haven't figured out why it does this. I've never had a Mac do this before with one of these low-end cameras, because this is supposed to be pre-720p, right? Anyways, so we're on maximum. We're going to record a little bit of footage here. 1, 2, hello, hello. See, I can wave. Yay! See, there's my camera we're using to record with. Okay, so that should be enough. And we're going to go up to File, Export. Anything in black, you're good to go. In this case, the only thing grayed out is 4K. So we can go 1080p, 720, or 480. Okay, that's interesting. Or audio only. But 1080p, that's kind of a weird one. That's very interesting, actually. So I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But hey, we didn't even get 1080p cameras in the Macs until a little while ago. Hasn't been that long since we've had 1080p. So, but it is what it is. It's a Mac and it does what it does. 21.5 inch display. The screen on this, you just pull the glass off the front, so if you're going to do your own maintenance, be careful you don't crack that glass. It is held on with magnets, so you will probably want to use a suction cup kit to pry the one corner very carefully, and then carefully peel off the rest, and then you're good to go if you want to do your own maintenance. Because in this thing you can upgrade the hard drive if you want by your selfie. It does have a 3.5 inch platter HDD 500 gig hard drive in it, not SSD, okay? But you can upgrade to an SSD. Now, I would recommend, if you're going to do that, because there's a sensor on the hard drive that, keeps an eye on fan and stuff, so it doesn't go whee, okay? There's a kit you can buy on Amazon that works in, well, pretty much all the iMacs. It has a sensor in it. So this way it can control your fan and things don't go whee on you, okay? There is a program too called Max Fan Speed Control where you can actually have it go automatic, which is where I've had it for the last little bit. I had to blow a fair amount of dust bunnies out. I still have to pull the main screen off and blow out the rest of the dust bunnies. But the temperatures are actually doing really well regardless. But either way, I still blew out a bunch of the dust because I had to upgrade the RAM in this thing, of course. And because 4 gigs just kind of really sucked. 8 gigs is definitely a lot better, so we're quite happy with that. But I did order a 16 gig kit, which consists of 2 8 gig sticks. Now this is where it'll get interesting, so I'm hoping it works, otherwise I'll have to send that RAM back and get 4 4s, because I'd like to have this thing maxed out, okay? Now it does max to 16, but there was another YouTuber that said this thing should actually technically go to 32. Well, that's why Kevy ordered a 16 gig kit, because 2 8s and then 2 2s, that should give us 20 gigs. On the newer iMacs, for sure, you can mix and mash RAM as far as sizes go, so you can get like 16 or 20 gigs, whatever, right? So we're going to try that little stunt on this thing, and if we get our 20 gigs, fantastic. 8 gigs is actually not bad considering we are running High Sierra. However, I want to use this thing and push it, okay? And that means I need a little bit more than 8 gigabytes worth of RAM. I need at least 16 or more, okay? Anyway, so I do have some games installed. A lot of these are the same ones I run on my M1, and a few of these are wrapped games like Unreal Gold, Tournament 2004. Now those are PC games that have been wrapped with a program called Porting Toolkit, it works fantastic. So it allows Mac users to not have to run Windows on their Mac, especially a Mac of this vintage. It only goes to Windows 7 that you can run on it. So it's kind of like, yeah, I prefer Windows 10, but yeah, you miss it out by a year or two. So yeah, it is what it is, right? But I do have the actual real Mac version that seems to want to run for Unreal 2004. So I still have some testing to do to compare the two to see which one actually runs better. What I found was very surprising and a little shocking was Far Cry. Not a massively demanding game, even with graphics full to the nines. Okay, it does get more demanding when you do that, especially with your resolution. So I do have it set to 1080p res, and it says my machine spec is very high. Now, when you're running a wrapper, of course, it's not going to auto-detect any of your video and stuff, so it's just going to do what it does. And hey, you know, you get a default resolution of, I think it was like 1024 by something, and it's like, yeah, that's not full screen, let's switch that. Anyways, this game will absolutely not run worth a bean stick on an M1 computer, which are supposed to be the faster bad boy computers that can eat these things for breakfast and spit them out sideways. Well, it seems that once again, our Intel processored Macs are eating for breakfast. Now, granted, you are double emulating on the M1. You would be using Rosetta 2 because of the type of app that is as a wrapper. It is made more for the Intel Macs, yes. And of course, your emulation of Windows environment within that wrapper. But surprisingly enough, this game runs absolutely freaking flawless. Okay, now I'm going to quickly show you my settings here. This is a bit of a video because I think it's important. Now we are set at 1920 by 1080, which is the native resolution of the screen. You can put an external screen on this thing, by the way. We'll get to that. And these are my main settings. The only thing custom here is my environment quality. Everything else is kind of like low. Man, it's kind of like, well, you know, you expect that to be crummy. And believe me, on the M1, it looks horrible. Okay? But on this thing, with these settings, it actually looks really good. And surprisingly enough, the first time I fired this wrapper up on this computer, that thermometer moved just as quick. On the M1, it was like pokey. Man, I thought it was never going to load. You know, it took forever. Right? So I've played a few little chapters within this game already, but I'm getting full speed, no problem. It's doing a really great job. Graphics, that's reasonable. That's kind of like running very high graphics when you're looking at the stone. If you were running this on a PC or if you were running Windows on your computer and running this game. So it works quite well. Oh, I think I went too far the wrong way. Yeah, baby. I mean, this is running fantastic. I can't believe how good this is running.
Found in the old carrier refueling station. You're going to have to check it out up close, I'm afraid.
I wonder how Far Cry 2 is going to go for me. That's a lot more demanding of a game.
Crow's mercenaries have refitted it for a helicopter refueling station.
This whole deal is strange.
You don't know the half of it.
So as you can see, it runs great. I have no complaints about that. I love this. Love it even more because, you know, I mean, I can't run Windows 10 on this thing, but, you know, hey, I can run the wrappers. So I talked to my buddy James, and he actually gave me the extra 4 gigs of RAM. We're going to get together at some point, and he's going to give me a whole whackload of games that should run just fine on this thing. He knows what I like, so it makes it simple as far as gaming goes. If I can shoot it and kill it, I'm happy. And I love race games too. But anyway, so the other nice thing about this, there was a security update for the OS and everything. The last one was in 2020 for High Sierra. And among other updates that are still able to be gotten when you reload the Mac. And it's like, wow, that's so cool. And we're surfing on YouTube with, get this, the most current version of Google Chrome. Now, like I said, I've had these older machines before, and trying to get a new version of Chrome on was like, forget it. You know, even I had a 2009 laptop, I believe it was, and it was kind of a pig and a poke on that one. I mean, some things it would surf, some things it wouldn't. I couldn't really get to the most current. So this is an 09. I can't remember if that was a mid-2009 laptop, or how many sites I could get to, but there were some I couldn't. And YouTube is a very secure site. So anyway, it does require security, and this is doing it. There was no way I was running the most current version of Chrome on that last computer. And definitely not on a 2007. 2007s are definitely out. But this is, Chrome is up to date, version 108.0.5359.94. It's the most current version for both Mac and PC users. So it's like, okay, again, I'm impressed me. And this is High Sierra. That's like several OSs away from even Big Sur or Monterey, let alone the new Ventura, right? And it's like, this thing should not be doing this, right? I mean, Apple usually gives us about a good 10 years generally, but this is an interesting machine. But we do have a lot of USB ports on the back. We got 4 of them. We've got display ports, we've got our Ethernet and all that other jazz, you know, normal stuff you always find on iMacs. We do have a built-in CD on this thing, an Apple SuperDrive. It's actually along the side here with a card reader on the side. Now, I think Apple should have done that to the other iMacs, but unfortunately, they didn't have the room for it or something, I guess, or maybe cutting into the back of the bevel of the casing wasn't practical, so they threw the card readers in the back on the newer iMacs. And, well, whatever, you know, whatever works. But on the side, I love it. I think that's great. And everything functions perfect in this thing. So this is going to be a good, nice little machine. For also the fact that it's still running iTunes, it's a lot easier, less hassle. I can rip all my CDs, organize them in the way I want to, that sort of thing. I'm not a real huge fan of the new music program that replaced iTunes, but I got iTunes, so good to go. The FireWire port is a FireWire 800. And we also have built-in Airport Extreme, Gigabit Ethernet, etc. Like I said, I am running Wi-Fi too for the internet. Now the Bluetooth in this is 2.1, and with a Bluetooth 5 adapter, USB adapter, I have one by TechKey. It's a little finicky, but it will override the Mac, and you can use a modern-day keyboard and mouse that's Bluetooth. Unfortunately, every time you go to reboot the machine, you lose access to your keyboard and mouse until you rebind them. It doesn't hold it for some reason. Maybe because every time you boot, the first Bluetooth kicks in first. So that's been a bit of a thing to work out. So I'm trying to find an older Bluetooth keyboard and mouse that I can use that won't be an interference issue that way. I actually use Logitech MX Keys mouse and keyboard on my M1, and it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But for now I'm using a USB wireless, use a little dongle thing. Same as my mouse, it's a USB wireless dongle, and well, so I lost 2 ports out of 4 on the back. I don't need all 4 anyhow, so not a big deal there, not a make it or break it. So if you don't want to go through the hassle trying to find something used, because brand new keyboards, yeah, you're going to be hard pressed to find a brand new keyboard and brand new mouse that is going to go backwards to 2.1. I'm sure they're probably out there somewhere, but I just haven't found them yet. But if you get the Apple Magic Keyboard, the original Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse, and possibly the rechargeable versions, the newest ones, they should work just fine on 2.1, because I know for sure the battery-powered versions of the keyboard and mouse from Apple do work for a fact, because that's what this thing actually came with. So you can use those. Anyway, we do have turbo boost because it's an Intel chip. It'll turbo boost itself to 3.33. 64-bit architecture in this thing too. What else can we tell you about it? Well, we went through video. Video RAM is stuck at 256 no matter which way you have it. Second display support for dual mirroring is 2560 by 1600 resolution. That's pretty good. I can pop this thing up to my 32-inch display. Of course, like we said, it's a 500 gig HDD. You could also have ordered this with a 1 terabyte, or like I said, just do it yourself. It's really not that hard to upgrade these things. Anyways, so I think we're pretty much cookied at this. So the original OS is actually, I believe it was Snow Leopard. It's 10.6.1 anyways. Maximum is 10.13x. So not bad, and we're maxed at that, which is High Sierra. Okay. Windows 7 64-bit. Minimum is Windows XP 32-bit. I don't know why you'd want to run either one of those anymore, because I guarantee you ain't getting any updates for XP or Windows 7 anymore. That's why I like using the porting kit for video games that I can't get on the Mac, right? I'll wrap them from PC games and play them, and it works. Now, some wrapped programs do work on the M1, not bad, but yeah, your best experience with it is going to definitely be on the Intel machines. Yeah, so that pretty much covers all of our specs and everything. But in total, what do we really think about this thing? Well, I think it's still a good little power horse. It does have GarageBand. Now, that's the thing where when you go to install either El Capitan or High Sierra on this, you can click on your store if you are already an Apple person. And though the most current version of GarageBand and iMovie are up there, Apple will just give you a little pop-up thing that says, you know, sorry you can't run the newest one, but yeah, we can give you an older one if that's okay. Sure, that's fine. Do it. And so, of course, I am running the last known, most up-to-date versions of GarageBand and iMovie. And like I said, I want to push this thing. I want to see how iMovie does on this old dog for video editing. So that's going to be kind of fun and interesting. But yeah, GarageBand works as normal. It doesn't really look all that much different from the newest one. However, even with all sounds downloaded possible, on this particular operating system, the most sounds we can expect to get from Apple is 4,201 different types of loops, okay? But still a very powerful program if you're just starting out doing your own music recording and stuff. I did professional level music recording on GarageBand for years. I still play with it once in a while, but I've kind of fallen in love with Logic Pro more. I'm not sure if we can run an older version or how far back Logic Pro does go. I will have to look into that and see if there's a version of Logic Pro that can actually run on this computer. Because Logic Pro is definitely a lot nicer. It can do stuff that GarageBand obviously can't, because Logic Pro is, of course, professional level. This is kind of more like the fun level, but also can turn out some very good professional recordings, you know, once you learn how to use the program. And it's a great introductory to saying, maybe I should buy a better Mac and get Logic Pro and really kick some butt. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're definitely quite stoked about this thing. This is quite the cool little machine. I'm very happy with it. Very surprised actually that they just gave it to me. It was one they were selling, but when they took it in for a reload to reset it, something went wrong, and I'm guessing it's mainly because the particular guy is a PC guy, not an Apple guy, and yeah. So anyway, so it's like, oh, that's kind of really cool. I still would have paid them for the thing, but they just said, here, have it for free. I'm like, thank you so much. I love Mac stuff. Everybody knows I'm a Mac fanatic. Though I do have a PC laptop for playing video games on that, unfortunately, M1s suck at playing games really bad. You know, especially for the stuff I want to play, won't run at all on an M1 so far anyways. But still more experimenting to do, I guess. But anyways, so that is the late 2009 iMac 21.5 inch 3.06 gigahertz base clock, of course, with that overclock of 3.33. Not a bad machine. These things are selling on average between $100 if they're in perfect condition, up and running, keyboard and mouse with them, whether it's third party or original Apple. Okay, they're going anywhere between $100 to probably even upwards to no more than $200 tops. If anybody's charging more than that for a 2009, I'd be saying, okay, well, how about we go $50? Well, how about we go $150? And if you want to play $150, you play the bargaining game, okay? It's the only way to actually get anything. You got to play the bargaining game. And I've been keeping an eye on Facebook too, seeing what these things are still going for. I've seen a few of them up there. People want like $400. I'm like, are you you on something that you're not sharing here? Because yeah, that computer ain't worth that kind of money. And with Apple doing the total annihilation of Intel stuff very soon, and I mean very soon, it's going to be dropping the values of Intel Macs that much more severely. Because you all know with Ventura, very few Macs actually made it by model year to be able to run Ventura. Apple did a lot of cutoffs that originally they weren't going to do, and they decided, you know what, we're doing it. We're cutting those. This is what you get to run the thing on, and that's it. So not too many computers made it to Ventura for the Intel Macs. I mean, Intel has to go apparently, right? And I still say the Intel Macs are far superior than the M1s, especially when it comes to gaming. Definitely far superior. In my experience, I got a 2006, I believe it is, Mac Mini that wipes the floor with my M1 for any games, you know, and it's kind of like, that's pretty bad because that thing's really freaking slow in comparison. But mind you, the M1, video editing, yeah, fantastic, couldn't ask for better. You know, desktop publishing, graphic arts design, music production, well, hey, you got GarageBand here, you got GarageBand on your M1, they both work fine, right? So, but anyway, you get the idea, right? The M1s have their limits, that's for sure. And so do these. Okay, these are no competitors against the M1s when it comes to video editing and all that other jazz. Not anymore anyways. Unless you're going to go for a really super high-end like Mac Pro or something. I mean, the M1s are still kind of wiping them with the floor with a lot of tasks, yes. Especially in the video editing category, and definitely, well, it's kind of a thing, you know. But we do have to comply eventually and just go all with M technology because of the way Apple's decided to cut things off. But your Mac is not completely useless, especially if it did make the grade for Ventura. It may or may not make the grade for the next OS, unknown, but I do know that Rosetta 2 is being cut off on the Intel Macs as of next year. And in 2006, I believe it is, M1s will no longer be supporting Rosetta 2. So there goes your old Intel apps to be able to run at all, apparently. At least that's what I gather from it. So, but we'll stay tuned to that one too. Anyways, in the meantime, guys, thanks so much for hanging out for this little video here and checking out my new little acquisition. It's perfectly set up on my desk in here in the room, and I think I'm going to try hooking my interface into this thing and, you know, seeing how well this thing does with the GarageBand stuff and how well we can do with video editing and a few other things. And when I get a bigger collection of games, we'll see what's going on with that, see how good things can run. Just try and push that video card for all it's worth. It's only a measly 256 megabytes, but hey, there's a lot of games that can run on that, so, and a lot of good ones that I like from the past, so there you go. You need an old Mac if you want your nostalgic video games. Anyway, see you later, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll definitely catch you on the next one. Ciao.